Hello everyone. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a VOD review of a recent quarterfinal match that happened on the, I believe, Riftlabs tournament over in Europe, or I guess London specifically. In this case, we have a Victor versus a Kaisa. I've not seen all of it, but I have seen the first like 20-ish minutes, and I think there's a lot of good stuff to go over. A lot of stuff that both the Kaisa and E players, well, not E, a lot of stuff that the Kaisa and Victor players do that we can kind of, take things away from and learn lessons from. Starting off with a Victor player, he gets the turn 1 of Ravenbloom Student. So it's about as good as you can get in the Victor deck. There's not too much other stuff. I mean, there's like Watchful Sentry, there's the one Falcon that ramps you one. Here we see Lecturing Yordle. Now, I don't know his hand, so I can't tell you for sure what he would have wanted to play, but already I did want to go over this just because I think this is something that a lot of Kaisa players missed. Not to say that this guy missed it, because again, I don't know his hand. But I think that one thing that Kaisa players don't prioritize enough is point tempo. Point tempo is very important for Kaisa just because it is probably one of, if not the best deck at kind of keeping a point lead whenever it gains it. And point tempo is the idea that once you've scored more points than your opponent, specifically the 2-point marker, if the game kind of goes back and forth, for example, you score the first 2 points, then they score 2 points, and then back and forth, you will win because you'll get to 8 points before they get to 8 points, right? Pretty simple. What that means is whenever you get that point lead, whenever you get to the 2-point threshold, it puts pressure on your opponent to be able to make up that deficit so that they are not playing on the back foot, right? It's something that's kind of a little unique to Riftbound just because there's no life totals here. And the reason I mention this is because usually when you're going second with Kaizo, one of the best turn ones you can have is dropping a 2-drop and then backing it up with some form of spell, ideally Hextech Ray. The reason this is because most decks' best turn ones is just a 1-drop, right? In the case of Victor, it could be the 1-drop, it could be the recruit token, what have you, right? And if the Kaisa player had the option to, it's almost always better to play the 2-drop and then leave the mana open. The reason why is because one thing that the turn 1 player gets to do is get that first point score, right? And that means that they have a better chance of gaining that point tempo, as I mentioned, and getting to that 2-point threshold. Additionally, we see that there's also Targon's Peak on the battlefield, which means that if he's able to get on that to that battlefield, which in this case it seems like he is going to be, leaves up mana for him to be able to do things like Stupefy, Hidden Blades, stuff like that. If you are watching this and you are a Kaisa player, I do recommend thinking about leaving up mana just to deny your opponent's point tempo. A lot of times, just being able to play that 2-drop, Hextech rank something when they move to a battlefield, and then you being that first person to score a point is really, really good, since as I mentioned, because of Kaisa's amount of just spells and interaction, she's really good at holding a point lead, because when she gets into that kind of like seesaw game of like her being up on points, it's really hard for the opponent to come back from. So I just wanted to mention that here. Like I said, don't know his hand. Lecturing Yordle still really, really good for turn 2, right? So 3-drop places itself still very, very good. So regardless, even if you don't have what I just mentioned, I still think Lecturing Yordle is a wonderful drop. As we see here, we're going to attack with Ravenbloom Student. Kind of a quick reminder, always good, I guess, technique to make sure that you attack before developing your board or playing spells. In this case, the Kaisa player is tapped out, but if he had open mana, attacking this battlefield could, say, reveal the Hextech Ray that I mentioned earlier. In this case, if he had the 1-tap mana and he Hextech Ray the Ravenbloom Student, maybe that could change how the Victor player plays his hand. Here they're messing with their dials. It is pretty cool. I've not seen these yet, kind of like dials for Riftbound. I guess it's not for Riftbound specifically, but it definitely helps for keeping score. I wonder if they'll have these at the official regional champs. That'd be cool. He gets our first point. We can kind of see from his hand, I believe it's Sprite Mother, Hidden Blade, Cull, I think that is, Stupefy, and Fallen Comet. So not too many creatures to play off of, and hilariously, we actually don't have any blue mana to play the Sprite Mother. What I imagine he's going to do, what we probably should do, is just make the recruit token and pass. There's not much he can do. He could consider making the recruit token and then culling and then untapping too. That way he has the Stupefy for if something tries to conquer the Ravenbloom Student, right? We'll see here. I believe he does indeed get the recruit token, which makes a lot of sense. And then I believe he stupefies his own unit just so he can get value off of the Targon's Peak activation in the end phase. In this case, yeah, stupefies. Probably better to do it than recruit, but again, no untap mana, so it's just fine. And he gets Facebreaker there. Facebreaker is a really good card in the Victor deck. I've been liking it a lot. Yeah, I think Stupefy on your own unit is fine. If there was Dreaming Tree up, that would have been even better. But, obviously there's not. I think there is an argument to maybe Cole after making the recruit. As I mentioned, getting that point tempo. Regardless of what deck you're playing, getting point tempo is so important for Riftbound, and it's what wins a lot of games. It's also why there's a bit of a, I guess, issue people have with the kind of going first problem, because the going first player almost always gets to get that point lead a little bit sooner than your opponent, and that does matter a lot. In the case of the Victor deck, where you want to be swarming the field with creatures and then benefiting off of that, I do think that things like Cole would have been not bad. Here, though, he's just going to pass, which I think is fine. We have Facebreaker, we have Hidden Blade. So here, the Kaisa player is on 5 mana. He has a couple of different things he could do. Like I mentioned, being behind on point tempo, you want to just try to make that up as much as possible. You could accelerate Kaisa here, but then you're kind of tapping out for everything and you lose to a lot of open mana. I think the best thing you can do is maybe Hextech Ray on the Ravenbloom student if he has it. I would like doing it before combat. That way, if he has Hidden Blade, we can go ahead and get that out of the way. That would not be bad. We could also just swing in, try to Hextech Ray. That wouldn't be terrible either. Ideally, we just try to get onto this Targon's Peak, develop some of our board, and maybe get rid of this Ravenbloom student somehow. Okay, we're going to have a Void Seeker here. So this is basically what I meant. It's basically Hextech Ray for the purposes of what I mentioned. I think this is fine. I maybe would have liked saving it for like a bigger unit, but I don't think units get very big other than the Victor leader, so I think it's fine. It's probably more valuable to get rid of this than, say, the Hexic Rays, which could come up later. Then, as I mentioned, clearing the board, trying to block in with the Lecturing Yordle, and then here, the Victor player decides to Hidden Blade the Yordle. So, I don't fully agree with this. I think Hidden Blade would... Okay. Hidden Blade letting your opponent draw 2 cards is a very, very wishy. It's very hard to estimate how good it is sometimes. But against Kaisa, it is like really, really bad. Kaisa's card quality and just like power with cards in hand is better than any deck in the game by far. And their ace card, Falling Star, right, is kind of your bane. You really don't want them to see that. And Hidden Blade is getting them 2 more draws at that, which feels not very good. Ideally, I think Hidden Blade's best usage in the Kaisa matchup when you're playing Victor is either killing your own units to get that draw 2, or to kill the Watchers that come down, because Watcher can be a bit of a rough card if you're trying to stack on a battlefield. And in this case, he's playing the Grand Plaza, so definitely what he is trying to do. I think Darius, for example, Darius kind of coming in with his +2, that'd be a really good Hidden Blade target. Not exactly the early game. As things are going now, this guy, as I mentioned, he's going to be up on point tempo, so he doesn't need to have to kind of force the game this quickly, right? He's up on 1 point. Kaisa player is going to conquer Targons, go up 1 point, and then he can recruit to the other battlefield, go up to 2 points. Now he's at that 2-point threshold, and the Kaisa player is playing on the back foot. That's good. Hidden Blading your own Ravenbloom could have been good because, as I mentioned, you can draw more cards. In this case, he's playing a very removal-heavy version of Victor, which is really, really good. It's what you want, right? Kaisa would like to swarm the board, and she's very good at it. But if you can kind of get those cards in hand, you can prevent that a bit with the Falling Stars and the Singularities and stuff like that, which he's getting a lot of. So he's going to Hidden Blade it. As I mentioned, I don't fully agree with it, but I feel like maybe just because he's not able to play any creatures, he wants to kind of control the board, right? As we saw, he has Sprite Mother. He can't cast it because he has no blue runes, so, there's also something to be said there. Additionally, that right there, Nox is hopeful. Another good Hidden Blade target. The 4 might point is a hard one for the Victor deck to get over. That's unfortunate right there. 5 order runes. But yeah, the 4 might point is really hard to get over as the Victor player. So here he's going to develop to the base. Tap 2, put back 1, and play the Cole from earlier. So I think this is fine, right? As I mentioned, the 4 might point is really hard to get over. If we actually pull up the deck list, I believe that's the guy's one. Pull up the deck list. The only things that get over a 4 might unit are triple Stupefy or double Stupefy, depending on the might of the unit that is defending against it. A Smokescreen, Cold Week, and Hidden Blade. And if you notice, and I guess technically things like Singularity, Falling Karma, stuff like that, but these are a bit more expensive, right? And you'd rather hit them on, like, I guess, bigger things. But early game, this is all you have to work with, and it can be a little bit rough if they have other creatures, which with Noxus Hopeful, that's almost always accompanied with a second creature, right? Because of the Legion, so this becomes a little bit rough. Smokescreen's good. Simplify you have to have in multiples, which can feel a bit rough. And then Hidden Blade, as we mentioned, although is a good answer for it, can feel bad against Kaisa because it gives them more chances to draw things like Falling Star. Here, though, Cole on it is ideal. He stepped out, so doing it before we go to combat is like fine, but again, just kind of good rule of thumb. It goes to 2 points, and as I mentioned, that point tempo is in place, and now the Kaisa player has to kind of make that tempo back up. Leaving up 4 still, so a lot of interaction on the Victor player's side. So here we're going to go up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runes. This is where if he has Retreat, I would like to see him use it. I think Accelerate Kaisa with Retreat sounds fine here. The Victor player has not developed a lot of creatures, so I'm imagining any Falling Stars or base interaction we have just has not been used yet because we've not had to. I also wouldn't hate Hextech Rang the Recruit and then playing some units. He's already up on point advantage, so we want to stem that bleeding somehow. He's going to go up to 6 runes next turn, so it's not like he can accelerate anything, so we're pretty safe to do it. Singularity is an option, but he has 4 order runes, so who knows. Here we're going to accelerate Kaisa, move up. I imagine that means we have Retreat. If he has Hidden Blade, we just retreat it. In this case, he is going to Facebreaker. Really good card here. Here, I believe he does have a Hex Strike Ray, but he uses it in a way that's a little awkward, I think. So, I believe he's thinking here because of what he wants to do. So I believe he ends up having a Hextech Ray. He lets the combat go through, in which case they will both knock off because they're stunned. And then he will choose to Hextech Ray. So I think this is also a little odd. I would have liked to Hextech Ray while the showdown was happening. As a reminder, if someone, in this case, uses Facebreaker and 2 units smash into each other and they're both stunned, there's still a showdown to happen. So if you Hextech Ray something, even if the Kaisa is stunned, she's the only thing on the battlefield after the showdown's done, and you get the point. Really, really, really good for 2 reasons. Number 1, you get to draw the card, but also it's Targon Speak. Fighting over this battlefield makes a lot of sense because you're going to get to untap. And as I mentioned, Kaisa, especially against Victor, these small spells really can do a good job of holding. Now, I think the reason he did this is to play around Falling Comet, right? Because he's going to go up to 6 runes next turn. Maybe he's trying to play around tap 5 for Falling Comet, tap 1 to make a recruit past turn. But we will have drawn 2, we have drawn 2 off of the Hidden Blade from earlier, and we're going to draw the 1 from the Kaisa now. That means that if that's what he does next turn, we can just spam the board with our own creatures if we have them and kind of be up on board presence way more than our opponent, which is a really good way to get back point tempo. Just being able to catch ways that you're allowed to develop on board without your opponent punishing you for it. In this case, the Victor player's down to 3 cards. And additionally, I think he might have also been worried about Hidden Blade. But again, the only thing we're worried about is him doing it on his own unit, at which point he goes from 2 cards to 4 cards. We're still up on card advantage, and the Hextech Ray still kind of went 1 for 1. It's odd. I think, again, as I mentioned, Hidden Blade's good when you use it on your own stuff. So there's the 2 blue runes finally, and there's the Smokescreen. So now I believe it is Hidden Blade, Falling Comet, Sprite Mother, and Smokescreen. So a bit of an odd combination here. As I mentioned, you are up on point tempo, so I don't think that there's much of an impetus to gain it. He has 1 untapped mana, so it could be a Hextech Ray. That's all we really have to care about. Honestly, I think forcing that out wouldn't be bad. I'd like to play the Sprite Mother, probably try to conquer on Targon's Peak, and then make the token untap for 3 runes. We're holding up Smokescreen and Hidden Blade. This feels pretty good. Just counting runes, he's going to be up to 9 next turn, so now we have to start worrying about, removal combinations, things like Thousand-Tailed Watcher accelerated, Darius's can come out now, stuff like that. Here, because we have Smokescreen, I think we're fine. If it's Darius, then we can just Smokescreen it, and then the token, I believe, will trade with it. Yeah, because it'll be 7 down to 3. if it's a removal. And that's what makes Sprite Mother so good. Sprite Mother ultimately isn't the one attacking the Targon's Peak. It's just the, oh, it's Electro Yordle there. It's the token. And trading cards for tokens feels very bad when you're playing any deck against Victor. So putting your opponent in a situation to do that is pretty good. So here he chooses to pass, which I think it would have been better to develop the board state a bit more. As I mentioned, one of the things the Kaisa player can do is just swarm the board to get back into the game. And unlike the red color, which has straight removal spells, blue and yellow, other than Hidden Blade, doesn't have a way to just kill things at the battlefield without a unit already being there. So here we're actually going to see, I think, probably the Kaisa player, obviously here swing, get an attack. You're going to Falling Star Comet. If he has retreat here, that'd be pretty good. I think you at least want to retreat if you have it. I guess not. So there's the Falling Comet from earlier. Like I mentioned, I would have liked to see it, the Kaisa be on base, but it's fine. Here, though, we're going to play Poro. We're going to tap 2, play a Noxious Helpful. It's exactly what we want to see. And then he goes ahead and passes. So this is ideally what you want to see, right? In this case, he held up the mana for Falling Comet. And he's able to get rid of the Kaisa, which is, again, I think that's fine. I forgot that Falling Comet's in action. But I think I still would have wanted to see development on the board. But the Falling Comet to deny the Kaisa is not bad. Although we are going to see here a lot of glare. But Poro, Noxious Hopeful is exactly what we want to see on the Kaisa player side. Just developing that board state, getting ready for next turn where he can swing back. Now, ideally, we have like a Singularity. That wouldn't be bad. The issue is you have Pouting Poro, so it would cost 3 power, which is kind of rough. Should be fine, though. Just going to go 4, putting back 1, get out our Leader Victor unit. Now, he does have 4 untapped mana, which can be a lot of things. It could be double Hextech Ray, it could be Stupefy into Hextech Ray, it could be another Void Seeker and 1 untapped. There's a lot of things that it could be. That's why Kaisa leaving up mana is so good, because as I mentioned, it's really good at denying your opponent ways to get on the battlefield. Attack with the Recruit. Again, I think that it would have been better to attack with the Recruit first and then play out Victor units, right? Having more untapped mana prevents more options to your opponent, and they potentially don't cast a card that would be beneficial for them playing around certain other cards, or they cast a card that makes you suddenly not want to play the Victor Leader, right? In this case, it's going to be a Void Seeker on the Recruit, which is dubious. I think it's fine because the Void Seeker replaces itself, but I think that we do have to be wary of Sprite Mother. I think it'll probably just be fine, though. If he didn't have Hextech Ray, I think that's, fine. Again, we just want to try to prevent him from getting points on the board. Sprite Mother, and then attacking up with the Sprite, getting Targon's Peak, going up to 3 points. And again, you see just what the point advantage does. Even if the Kaisa player is doing better on card advantage, just being able to be up on points means that he's still playing on the back foot, so... but we'll see what happens here, just because, as I mentioned, he does have the creatures develop on board, so ideally we just want more removal. If we can get Stupefy Falling Star, we might just win the game on the spot, which he taps that 2 mana real quick. There's a chance he has it. Okay, so let's Stupefy on Victor. I think, right, yeah. So then, okay, we gotta draw a card first, right? And he would only do that if he only had Falling Star. Yep, so there's the Falling Star combination. This is what I meant when I said Hidden Blade in the Kaisa matchup can feel really rough, because you give your opponent more cards, and more cards in Kaisa means this. It means more Falling Star combinations. It means more ways to kind of clear things out. And now you lose both your creatures. And that's really rough, because those are very important creatures. So didn't happen here, because I think that the Victor player missed it, or the Kaisa player declared it correctly. But Falling Star is reflective triggers. That means against Victor Leader, if you stack it in such a way that the Victor Leader dies last, if other non token creatures die while the spell is resolving, Victor Leader will see it and give you units. So because of how he targeted there, I'm pretty sure he targeted Victor Unit and then targeted Sprite Mother. That means that the reflexive triggers would resolve, killing Sprite Mother, which would trigger Leader Unit to get a token, and then kill Victor Leader Unit. So if you're playing Kaisa, make sure that the Leader Unit or Victor Leader or any Death No guys die first. And if you're playing Victor, watch out for your Kaisa opponents, because if they're not paying attention and they stack it incorrectly, you can benefit off of that. Anyways, though, as I mentioned, this is about as good as it gets. I'm going to go 4-2-3. If he has Hidden Blade, he probably just does it on his own thing. Could have Smoke Screen as well. It's a bit odd, right? Format is like a lot to lose. I wouldn't hate fighting over this at this point because he has not very many cards in hand. I think he has 2. Yeah, he has 2. Here, now you can just kind of start going 1-for-1 on card trades, and it's like very beneficial for you, right? I think if we have some form of spell here, we probably just use it. He's tapped out. Might as well. I think he's thinking about Hexacray. I think Hexacray is correct here. You're going to untap 2 on Targon's Peaks. You want to be efficient with your mana. And he chooses not to use it. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Like I mentioned, just trading for tokens you can feel a bit bad, but I think I would have liked it just because it gets us up to 2 points. We conquer both battlefields. We're going to go up to 4, and it's going to, in one turn cycle, get us back in point tempo ahead of our opponent, and we're going to untap 2 at the end phase. So we don't really have to worry about leaving 2 mana up. But like, it's fine. We've already, that Falling Star was like so good. And now, as I mentioned, this is exactly what we want to do. We want to swarm the board because our units are going to be able to, backed with our spells, kind of be victors. So we're just going to untap 2 here, draw, Sprite Call, kind of only okay. It's really odd. That Falling Star combination was rough. That's why Kaisa's so good, right? Like kind of just got to hold that a little bit. There's not too much you can do. So here, what does the Victor player want? So he has Grand Stratagem, he has Falling Comet, he has Sprite Mother, or Sprite Call. Truthfully, none of these are very good cards, and like, you can try to Falling Comet prevent conquering the Targon's Peak, but he has 2, and if he attacks with the Pouting Poro first, you don't really have a good angle to do it, because then you're deramping one, and it feels kind of rough. You could Sprite Call. I think that's probably your best bet. You probably just try to Sprite Call, tap for 3, get your dude, move up to Targon's Peak, get your 4th point, and then hold with the Falling Comet. Because 3 beats 2 for the Pouty Poro, and then you can Falling Comet the Raven Bloom, try to go up to 4 points, and then hope you can top deck something like Singularity to kind of even out the board state. I think that sounds like the best thing you can do. Granted, he has 3 untapped mana. He kind of postured like he was going to play a Hexacray earlier, so there's a chance he just has one. But, I think at this point, because of how bad the game shaped up after that Falling Star combination, we just have to go for something. So here he's thinking a little bit. There's a consideration to go to the Poro side, right? It is 2 might. The issue is we lose to a lot more cards, like things like Stupefy, we lose things like X-Ray. So yeah, we definitely want to go Targon's Peak that. It gives us a chance to get up to 5 points. Sorry, not 4 points if we can hold. Yeah, I mean, if he has Hexacray, he has Hexacray. Stupefy, okay. It's not Hexacray, it's good for us. I think he was trying to dig for it, maybe. Maybe the card he was posturing for earlier. A bit greedy on his end, going for the Stupefy here. Just because if we don't draw the Hextech Ray, we would have wanted that Stupefy for our Poro to want to trade with the Sprite Mother, or with the Sprite, right? It's consideration to do it on the battlefield. I don't hate it. It gets us up to 5 points of variable to hold, but probably the base is better. He did not pay for that, I don't believe. No, well, no one got it. It's fine. I don't think it's going to change very much here just because of how the board state is, but again, just, whether it's Victor looking at your Kaisa's reflexive triggers or Kaisa looking at the Victor player, just make sure you're paying attention to your opponents. So here, Kaisa player's in a very dominant position. Doesn't have to do a whole lot to get back into the game here. We see another Stupefy, so looks like the other player was justified. Usually, if you have multiples, that leads to something like that. Draws a card, puts a -1 on it, puts a +1 on the Brave and Bloom student, and so now he has 5 untapped. All we have to think about are Hidden Blade, um, Falling Comet. So I think we're attacking with the Brave and Bloom student here is a bit greedy. I would have liked to see probably an attack with the Poro. That's why keeping the Stupefies would have been good. Just because we know he has Falling Comet because he used it already, and he has 5 untapped mana. There should be 5 untapped mana. So like that's falling Comet mana, right? So a little greedy on our end. I think that little small advantages like that are how people get back into the game. It's how you can lose your lead. So it's important, especially right because we're still behind on point tempo. We're still trying to catch up that way. Okay, we have Darius, so that makes that play make sense. I still would have liked to attack with the Poro first, but it is what it is. I'm going to go up to 3. And here, just in a very commanding position, Darius is another creature that's just, another one. Just another creature or unit that's really hard for the Victor deck to get over if they don't have the spells they need for it. And God, another one is also very devastating. Already up to 3 points, going to go up to 5 next turn, and I guess going to go ahead and pass it over. There's an argument to retreat the Poro, but that's fine. He's used, I think, 2 Stupefies already, so there's like low chance of it. We also have untapped runes, so like it's fine. And yeah, this is about how Kaisa conquers games, just finding those late game combinations of cards to just devastate the base, and then developing game cards in the early game to be able to take advantage of the removal immediately, right? And then using that same removal to just keep that lead. In this case, the board presence is just staggering, and now it's really hard for this player to come back just because the card quality is going to not really permit it. The best I think that we could hope for here is, as I mentioned, just Singularity. Singularity has probably been the MVP card of this entire game. If he has it, that'd be really good. Winning Singularity, both the Darius's, and then being able to move up the Targon's Peak, but it seems like that's not the case. Just going to have to develop in base, which is not what you want to see. It's not really that much of another choice he has, though, so, is what it is. I'm going to draw. And the Kaisa player here is just going to look to try to find those removal spells to deny his opponent as much as possible. At this point, the only thing... Ooh, okay. That is suddenly pretty bad for our opponent. Okay, we're going to time warp here. Go up to 7 points. And here it's going to be a bit rough because I don't think there's much that the Victor player can do. When you play as Kaisa at this late game with Victor, the one thing that has to be in the back of your mind is Grand Stratagem, right? Grand Stratagem is a good way to swing back the game, so you don't want to play it into it too much, right? You want to make sure that, if they have it, you're only losing 1 or 2 creatures to it, right? Or maybe just pushing your creatures back entirely. Ideally here, we just make him use it to attack our battlefields and then develop our base, use things like Darius to then double conquer and go for the win. What I don't fully want to see is stacking like this, because this is a really easy way to lose to Grand Stratagem and Thousand-Tailed Watcher. I still... yeah, it's rough. I see the want, I see the vision. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's actually fine now that I think about it, because if he Grand Stratagems, he's going to have 3... He's going to have 2 6-mite units and 1... I think 8-mite unit is what that would be. Yeah. So it's probably fine. He has untapped manas too, so he probably has ways to play around it. I just think that this is where things can be a bit wonky. Because Grand Stratagem's 6 mana, I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it still leaves him with 5 untapped mana. That could be a lot. Could be exactly Falling Comet, Exactly Falling Comet would be pretty nice here. Because that means you could just do both the recruits into the Grand Plaza and then the Raven Bloom student to the Targon's Peak. So because we know that he has at least Grand Stratagem, we know that this is going to somewhat pay off for him. So we'll definitely see what that ends up being. And we see Hidden Blade, which is a little rough, but kind of gets the job done where we need it to. Giving our Kai'Sa player cards is not good, but what are you going to do? So, as I mentioned, it's basically Grand Stratagem is what we're going to try to do here. If it were me, we have 4, 9 at the bottom base, and then looks like 9. What's that? 9, 11 at the top base. If we. Yeah, we could probably just do that. I think if we if we Hidden Blade the Darius at the top base and then Grand Stratagem, we can. Yeah, if we Hidden Blade the Darius at the top base and then Grand Stratagem, we can swing with both recruits into the bottom base. It'll be 12 damage going into 9 might. If he has a way to untap Darius, it'd be up to 11, and hopefully they at least trade. And then Ray Bloom student can be a 9 into a 6. And I think that would get us back into the game. I think what he's thinking, I mean, your options are pretty limited here, so I think whatever you do is probably fine, but that's how I'd go about it. Looks like he's going to Golden Blade the Darius. He's going to draw 2. I mean, here's the issue. The guy's player could have a lot of things with 4 on tap mana, so it's a little pretty rough, but I mean, again, what are you going to do? Just kind of have to hope he doesn't have it and play like he doesn't, right? Play to your outs. Grand Stratagem, give your stuff +5. Remove student's going to be an extra plus there. Or is it +6? Am I reading that card right? It's +5, yeah, okay. Yeah, that thing's +6. Definitely not the other way around. Looks like he missed the trigger from Bloom Student earlier, which kind of sucks because, extra damage is good. Now we're going to probably see what I mentioned, just sending both recruits into the Grand Plaza and then the Raven Bloom Student up into the Targon's Peak. If he had anything here to hold any of the bases, I mean, just it is what it is. There's not much you can do about it. But I think it's the best play we have. It also kind of goes to show, as I mentioned, that playing into Grand Stratagem is a way to lose against Victor as any deck, because it is a very, very powerful spell. All right here, you just see it's kind of +15 might, right? It's kind of +16 with the Raven Bloom Student, so it is a very tempo swingy card, and you want to make sure that you're playing into it accordingly when playing against Victor, because it's one of the best ways that they have to kind of come back into a game, like we're seeing here. Now, I'm like pretty confident this Kai'Sa player has like anything under the sun. Even here, he can probably just like let this happen, and then whenever he goes into the bottom base, like smokescreen, Hextech Ray, double Hextech Ray, smokescreen, something. Yeah. In this case, it'd be 6 might going down to 8 might, and then 8 might loses to 9 might. That's it. So, yeah, I just wanted to show that first game. I gotta leave for work, so I can't review the second game. I'll probably watch it. Or not watch it. I'll probably review it again. Not again. Sorry. I'll probably review it when I come home or in the morning tomorrow, something like that. But yeah, I think key takeaways here are point tempo, making sure that you are trying to keep in mind point tempo when playing out a game, seeing what ways you can gain point tempo, what ways your opponent might have it, and trying to not deny that, playing to you, like in this case, Kai'Sa's strength of being able to deny point tempo quite a bit and thus keep his own point tempo up. Playing around kind of like card combinations is really, really good. We saw here that the Falling Star combination was able to kind of run away with the game. And we also noted kind of Hidden Blade in the Kai'Sa matchup, how using it early on isn't the best unless you're using it on your own cards, which, as we see here, it actually would have been really beneficial because we could have, in this case, earlier, say when he Void Seeker our Ravenbloom student, if we went ahead and Hidden Bladed our own Ravenbloom student, we could have drew more cards, found more answers for this late game clash that ended up happening here. And yeah, and also just playing round cards. I think that this whole sequence at the end here was a bit greedy on the Kai'Sa player's part. Now he had 2 cards in hand, so it's hard to say, right? In this case, I think that because I believe he had one more. He might have had one more. I think he had 5, but you want to be playing around cards as much as possible. And against the Victor deck, the main card you're playing around towards late game is that Grand Stratagem. In this case, he had what he needed to, just because if you look at his hand, it's like 6 cards. But I think that there was way more of a chance for this player to come back into the game than there should have been, right? And exactly, Smokescreen honestly made it exactly enough, right? It was 8 to 9. If he had anything else, it might not have been enough. They might have traded, and then who knows? Maybe he doesn't have the gas in hand to keep going, which is probably not true. But just gotta think about things. Think about things like that because you can very easily lose your lead that way, right? So, but yeah, no, very good watch. I think there's a lot to learn on both sides. Yeah, I'll be back for the second game when I come back. I'll probably do more of these stuff for Riftbound. Obviously, I've done a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh content. A lot. I've made like 4 videos. I've done Yu-Gi-Oh content, but hopefully I will shift gears to Riftbound and we can start doing more stuff for this and becoming better players together. So if you stick around to the end, thank you for being here. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day.